achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
I do want to add myself to this stage, right? That might help, and he might help. So welcome, my friends. This is our last Africa Business Talks before Christmas, I think so. Today's the 9th, right? So 2 weeks' time will be the 23rd, and that's not much good to us because I'm gonna stop work on the 20th, and that's my plan. Yeah. So let's enjoy it, right? Of course, I hope that you enjoy your Christmas when the time comes, and your New Year. And the Americans love their Thanksgiving as their holidays, as they call it. So the rest of us celebrate Christmas, New Year, and that's where we have most of our fun. Anyway, so 2025 is coming to an end, my friends. Yeah. Do you know who I am? Of course you know who I am. I am Annie, of course. And if you're here, I can hear myself. Why can I hear myself? My phone is talking to me. So do drop us a comment. And I say, this is a time of year, I guess, where I think we ought to start reviewing, thinking about the year that has been. Yeah, as we go into 2026, we want to go into the new year with, I guess, new plans, new strategies, a new sense of drive, a new sense of motivation. Because, my friends, 2026 cannot be the same as 2025. Now, that's not such a new thing to say, is it? Just like 2025 can't be the same as 2024. If it is, if they are, then I would say we're not making much progress. Yeah, to make progress, we need to move forward each year. And that may say we need to move forward each day, really. We need to look at ourselves. We need to look at our business. We need to look at our processes, our marketing, our results, and work out what can we do differently to get better. So that's how I think we must move forward. And part of that process is simply that we're going to have to make some radical decisions. Now, some things that have worked for us in the past, we may want to continue if they're still working. Whereas the things that have stopped working, we need to cut out. We need to stop doing. And that must be how we move forward in this lifetime, right? And sometimes that process it can be drastic. It can feel drastic. It can feel, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for. I don't know what it is. It can feel harsh. That's probably the word I'm looking for, right? You spend a long time doing LinkedIn, for example. And you realize LinkedIn's not working. What do? I say, you just have to stop doing LinkedIn, right? As odd as that might feel, that might, say, of course, it'll feel odd for a while, but if something's not serving you, why would you want to carry on doing it? That's crazy. That's lunacy. Yeah, lunacy being the bad habit of doing the same things and expecting different results. It's the same thing will never get you different results. It keep getting you the same results that you've always been getting. Mr. Calm, you found me. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm all right. Yeah, so it's a weird time of year. I think like I say, we need to review
It's a time of year that, like you said, time to review,
Mm,
trying to, basically get a grasp of what has actually been going on in the past 3 quarters. As if
mm,
you're a quarterly person. You could be
mm.
a different person. You do things differently. However, you measure and take your time. Yeah. Um, it's time to be able to do that at this particular juncture in time. Most of the people do that. Do it whenever you want to, but at least do it. At least do something, every 6 months or every 3 months, every month if you have to. But keep track of yourself and where you are at, and
I agree. I
and
agree.
how
No,
you.
I think it's not. It's an ongoing process. It has
Yeah,
to be.
yeah,
Which is why I'm not waiting to 2026. To make the changes that I know I probably have to make now.
yeah. It's just like you did. Remember last year? Last year
Mm.
was when we
Yeah,
entered
yeah.
and started doing videos
Mm.
as opposed to just plain audio. I
See,
think
like,
you decided to
see,
engage in that a month, 2 months
yeah,
actually, two
yeah.
months before the year ended.
See, the year before that, the year before that, and I got to the new year and then realized I had to call my numbers. Before that, we were on a mission to just get more and more and more people in our rooms. And then towards the end of the year, I had to ask myself, okay, so we're getting 120 people in a room. What good is that doing us? Because I had clients complaining, that their rooms were full of the wrong people. So I decided there and then there's certain types of people, certain groups of people I'm just not going to invite because they never invest, they never spend their money. They have no intention of spending money. They have no, they're just there and they're there to take up space and talk. You like what they have, and so I changed my process completely. Yeah, did the numbers go down? Yes. Is that a problem? Like I say, some things feel odd. It might feel counterproductive, but I think ultimately we must begin to work out what's right for us. Yeah, and when it comes to numbers in my rooms, for example, so I guess I realized it's better to have the right people than a lot of the wrong people. And so literally, I just cut. I cut a whole lot of people. That's how I normally say, you must be there. Yeah, I guess I think I'm in the same place now, right? We've done these events for a year now, and yeah, I get this feeling I need to go back to niche lists of people to invite. Do you know what that means, Michael?
No, no, no. Please go ahead and explain. What does it mean?
Okay, right. So let's say for this room, African business talks, right? The temptation is to invite everyone, every African that I can think of that I'm connected to, maybe, right? But so if I think about it, in truth, there are people who turn up regularly, people who turn up to this event, this particular event. There's a list of them. When we have that list, that list is sitting there on the event page. So if I want more of the right people, I'm gonna have to work on inviting those people first. Those who were there last show, those who were there before that. Are you with me? So
Yeah,
every event has a list of people. That's what the RSVP list is. That's what RSVP does for us, right?
all right.
And so at least now there, I know who I'm inviting, and then I know that they're interested in the topic. And that's one way. Of course, if others join us, it's not a problem. It's fine. It's perfectly fine, right? But
Yeah,
it doesn't mean I'm working ever closer to the list to inviting the people who I want to invite, who may get close to being my target audience for the room in that sense, right?
Yeah. So I figure that you value RSVP list, and that's the
Mm,
one that you're going to be measuring the success of your audio show upon, maybe. And I'm thinking that goes up and down during the course of the year. But in general, this got probably be an average number. Has it gone up or has it gone down in terms of average number? But this is the first year. The
mm.
first year because you changed the venue. The venue has changed, and because the
Yeah,
venue has changed, that's going to be quite troublesome. So you don't really have the numbers right now.
yeah, it's
You
true.
do have a start, but
Mm,
you can't compare this year to last year in terms of quality and in terms of number of people because that was an audio event, and you
mm,
can do determine how you were during the audio event versus how you are during the video. Has there been an improvement? Has there been an advance?
mm.
That was
Yeah,
audio. This
I
is video.
agree. I think also I'm asking the audience that same question. What has been your progress from joining us? So I guess that's the second part of the change I made this morning. Now,
Can
if
I
you really
ask you a question?
go for it, how are you doing, Coach K?
Finding yourself. Are you inviting new people or the same people?
Uh Different people.
The RSVP list comprises new people and same people.
Yes.
That's what an RSVP list comprises of.
Yeah.
The reason is because um, at some particular point in time, you start adding people. You should start adding people, and at the same time, at some particular point in time, you should remove people
Mm.
because you figure that there is no interest there. But I do not know if that's what you do. I'm
Yeah,
not so sure.
that's pretty
But
much how it works. That's pretty much
yeah,
how the RSVP list works.
and I'm sorry to intrude, Coach K. Please go ahead with your questions, but I just
Oh
wanted
no,
to highlight that.
that's all I wanted. I was just curious because I came in while you guys were talking, and it sounded like you were looking for more of an audience. And a lot of people noticed, like it changed when it went to video. And so
Mm.
that's the thing that I like about when there's someone else on the stage, because if you just carry a conversation then with the people in the room, then it's like you get your views on the watch time because they're still watching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. No, again,
Well, I
someone.
noticed it with Leah anyway because she does interviews, and so I realized she gets a lot of replay time.
Someone asked me today, the numbers have gone down since you started doing videos. I'm like, yeah, they certainly have, but it's not a problem. So because we'll make up all of that on the replays, on the views, on YouTube and wherever it's after the show. So I'm not concerned. No, that's why I'm not concerned about the numbers going down necessarily. The numbers, no, they will go. Every time you make a change, numbers will go down. See, the other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to be specific about who I want in the room. So today, so in today's description, so it's a new section I created in my descriptions. I want African professionals and business leaders, to join us because obviously we can learn from them, right? Again, the days gone by when I would just invite anyone. It would be literally anyone.
Mm-hmm. But how did that work out when different people came and you guys were talking about the topic?
It's a difficult one. It's a difficulty, and the difficulty is that when you have people in your room and people talking, it means others don't talk. And here's the simple truth is this: sometimes you lose people because they don't feel the right people in the room. They feel like the room is not giving them value because the people there are not helping them. It's not what they came for. In other words.
Well, I was just talking to a really close friend of mine in Abuja last night, a business owner that was looking for some help, looking for someone to invest in his business just by way of like a generator.
Mm.
And his solution to the problem was to call and ask me for $10,000 because he had
I
two
hope you said yes and wrote the check there and
he
then.
had like two different properties, and they're both making money, and he actually don't have a customer problem as much as keeping it cool. And so, in my opinion, sometimes having different people in the room that think different, because a lot of times people think that money is the resolve to whatever their problem is, and it's like everybody needs some money. Shit, I wish somebody would call and give me $10,000 right now.
Yes,
And so,
you give me half, I'll take it.
right. But the thing is, there are people that have other abilities, because the problem is not you need $10,000. The problem is you need to keep these two buildings cool. And so having someone that has interest in Nigeria that's not African in the room, the power of that could look like, well, I have a generator, or I can get this generator from over here. If you can allow me a couple of weeks at your property, then we can wash that way, since they may not have the money to give, but they can help out. And so I think that sometimes being willing to have outside people in the room, it can give you more options to the numerous problems that may be on the table, just by way of perspective. But you have to bridge the gap and
Yeah.
make people connect themselves to the problem. Because if it's me instead of we, then you'll get people uninterested. But when you start we in the conversation more, then people can actually see themselves in a picture outside
Yeah.
of just what they can give,
Yeah.
because nobody wants to feel like that.
That's it. I agree with you, and I agree with you on that one. I mean, I don't. I guess I realized late in the day that I need to find a set of words to describe that part of educate. I need to find a
Yeah,
set of words.
just paint a picture that includes the people, because even me, like, I realize that it's more of a cultural thing when Africa is saying we need help and we want to help ourselves. And anytime that I've been on a panel out in public in discussions like this, I always have to remind people that every continent stole from Africa. So it's not a everybody took from us, we fix ourselves things. It's not that it can't be that, but if there are others that want to be a part of it, then those are the people. And it's not going to be everybody. It may only be far few in between, but the ones that are passionate generally are very passionate, because they see themselves connected to the picture. They see themselves going to visit and being involved. And sometimes just having the right outsider involved, which is often what's worked for me. Just the
Yeah.
fact that I'm American, people in Nigeria will listen to me. And I often go in and reiterate the company's message that I'm working for. Like, I'm just listening to their idea. And if there's a way I could tweak it and make it more efficient, then I present that. And it's like, who cares who said it, as long as it's being executed, the problem, is being solved.
Yeah, and again, I can understand what I know what you're saying, and so I try, and I need to find. Do I call them Africa interested people?
No, well, like, as an African American, like, Pan African is a very big movement with when it comes to people that identify with the same racisms in different countries, the same setbacks based on color of our skin. And so there is a cultural thing that already exists that's considered Pan African, and it's it is primarily based on the advancement of Africa, because the thing is, Africa needs to be okay because it's the source. You know what I'm saying? But then also,
Yeah.
Africans need to understand that there are other people in the world that are going through the exact problems and they have to feel included. Otherwise, they'll start feeling used. And that's where you get like disdain, and you get people, that negative vibrations, because it doesn't start feeling like give and take. If it's just give.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
I agree.
including others is the biggest key component, because when you include them, it's not that the message is a problem, and it's not like it's not obvious, in most situations.
Mm.
Um, we all can acknowledge that it exists, but it's just like, hey, we all need help. So let's look at it from a bigger perspective of people that want to help people. Because if you get that, you'll get a lot more people. And there are a lot of people that need help and want to give whatever department they have access in, but it may not always look like money.
I say that I understand perfectly, and I agree with you on that one for sure.
Yeah. The barter system used to be gold.
Mm. Yes, and then we moved on.
Yeah, somebody came up with this first, the cowrie, the cowrie currency, and then they started putting value on other things. But really, people, the right person is far more valuable than gold.
Yeah, well, as in, it's a value of what you do, I guess, and what you bring more than that. Is that who you are? Is the value of the person? That's what I'm thinking. It's more than the knowledge and the insights that they can add to the room, right? And also, I think it's the way that it's the way we think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
bringing the full everything to the
yeah.
table.
Mm. If it's
Because
yeah, let's talk about our topic today. Because
okay,
obviously, you two have been you lived 2025, right?
yeah, let
Yeah.
me stream with you.
What is your take? What's been your experience with 2025? What's been good? What's been new? What would you want to take into 2026? What do you want to drop?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, either of you. I said
Oh.
like
Um,
who takes the mic first. But
um,
the other one has to answer the same question. So
so my take on 2025 is learn from everything and value time and people. Like understanding people and going beyond the surface level. Um, and understanding that time and people is probably the largest currency that exists. And when more people understand that, the more wealthy people actually will become, because I believe that there's a very low value on people from other people at this point in time, and so it's making it hard for a lot of people to get ahead. And so I think that's a perspective shift that I made, because I'm still money focused when it comes to business. Because I understand that money is a tool, and it's a way to show investment, but I believe in people over money at the end of the day. And so that was probably my biggest takeaway, and just like really getting to know and understand people at a deeper level.
I like that. And of course, that's something you're going to take into next year, right?
Absolutely. I'm centering, this is what my business is really centered on. It's like bridging the gap between luxury brands and impoverished or disenfranchised communities, being that bridge in between, and helping brands like people that are in Africa that are looking for assistance, with everyday communities that make sense for partnerships where everybody wins.
Hmm. I was thinking it earlier. This disparity between value of money. It doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be closing. I'm saying between Africans being in Africa and wanting and being able to afford what you want from the West, for example. If you want, say a pair of shoes from here or a computer from here, I'm saying, they cost to most people in Africa, especially, is to them is crazy, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that's the value, and why I push community so hard and having outside partnerships, because having these outside partnerships where I'm just going to use the same example that you just gave, right? Let's
Mm.
there's times where I'm on my way to Nigeria, and they're like, "Wait, you coming?" And they're like, "Grab me this and that and that," and I'm like, "Okay, well, when I get there, I know that they're taking care of my accommodations anyway. And so I grab the things that I know people will want, and that's usually what the gifts are. But that's the value of partnership from an outsider, where not only do we get things at a fairer price, a lot of time in America, we can get them cheaper at like discount stores that Nigerians don't have access to. But on a larger scale, I've had business partners that work in the container business that actually are able to mass produce and deliver funds. I mean, not funds, but merchandise properly into Lagos, where people can have affordable goods right there in Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That is the flip side, which is that you can buy many things locally. Even services you can buy locally.
Mm-hmm.
So there's someone who does what we all do. And so, when someone asked me the other day, and I was like, okay, find go and find some of your connections in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Kenya. They can do what we do, right?
I mean, for me, I'm going to be looking to get a few mentees that are in Nigeria because I know that I can fairly pay them in their currency for some of the smaller things that I've been struggling to do when it comes to online stuff that I frankly don't want to do.
Yeah.
But I know that and I know that I can do it that way where it's fair on both sides, but I'm also offering mentorship and possible placement with positioning in the future. And so it's like it's got to be a give and take relationship.
Yeah, well, let's say this is I think you just struck on the heart of the conversation, Coach K, from my point of view, right? In that, can you earn the money that we earn in the West if you live in Africa?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. What does that take?
Partnership. Like I said, if so, I'm gonna like okay, I just got to be me. Okay.
Yeah, just say what you mean. Say what you mean. I
Okay,
mean what you say.
so let's take, I'm going to say two poor people in the sense of poor in finance, right? And I'm going to say poor in the sense of mental as well, because
Yeah,
the difference between wealth and poor is mentality. It's not
I
money,
agree. I agree.
right? So I'm going to say you take two poor people that say we can't do it, or let's say we really can't because of circumstances, right? We need someone that can to pull us up. And you look at the analogy of the ant community that one goes out first, then reaches this hand back and pulls out one more, and then there's a chain reaction. And so the crabs in a bucket barrel analogy comes from like each time one person starts to lift itself up, the people in the bottom pull them back down. And so we have to and it's people keep saying mindset shift and all it is. And I think that maybe people just aren't painting enough pictures to actually unlock people's minds, and maybe it's not being either said enough, not said enough. I think it's being said enough for sure. I think that people maybe just hadn't heard it the right way or from the right person, because we all know what to do, but then they're just like, one day this one person says it or comes along and says the exact same thing, and something in your mind just clicks finally or whatever. But it's getting people to understand or to rally around one general cause and push, select people to push up to say, hey, we are going to put our gas in your car so you can get out and help us out. And that person that gets out has to actually reach back, or we have a system in place to make sure they reach back and help the next person out, that they don't just leave. Because oftentimes a lot of people leave Africa and they're like, it's better here, I don't want to go back home. But really, that's not true. And home is better. You just got to nurture it. it's got to be nurtured.
Yeah, I think you've also got to nurture your mind.
You got to nurture your garden, and
Yeah,
the level of classism. Like, I see classism in America. It's everywhere. It's in every single country. But the level of classism that I saw in Nigeria was like almost unreal to what my mind had believed. And there are things that can be done within communities, and I want to be a part of helping to build ecosystems that show people how to properly use one another in a way that's conducive for one another. Because one of the issues that I saw when I went to help the community the last time I went is a lot of people would have been really working great together, but they kept saying, I don't want to work with them because they're going to steal my idea. And people have to believe in themselves better than that to understand that there's only one them. That idea that they made, let's say if there's a baker and she makes cookies, you didn't create the idea. That was somebody else's idea anyway. So you just have to be yourself and deliver with excellence, and uh, pray and do your research and use your discernment when choosing business partners to make sure they're like in alignment with what you do, and you come up with a way that you guys can work together to create boundaries. You know what I mean? And so I
nice.
think that out teaching partnerships is a real thing, because
Mm,
people are afraid of one another, but they won't help. And the people that want to help them, they don't trust them, because of past experiences. And that's real too.
yeah,
So
and
that's
I
why
said,
I harp on community. And so it's like,
I agree with that. I think this is one of the lessons I say we need to learn and do
mhm.
differently in 2026. I say, there's many things you mentioned there, Coach K. We'll be very quickly. We have to aim. We have to aim for excellence. If we use a cooking example, I think we have to aim to add our genius to the mix, literally. I know full of puns at what I just said, right? To the
Mhm.
cooking mix. What's we bringing? As Africans, we must. As every business owner, you must bring something different.
You have to bring your full self, because
Yeah,
honestly, as Africans, a lot of times, a lot of African, like pure African descent people I know, there's some that overvalue themselves, but many undervalue
yeah,
themselves.
yeah. No,
Most undervalue themselves.
most undervalue themselves. Literally, they undervalue themselves in terms of what they think they can do, create,
Hmm.
and give to the world. Now,
Hmm.
that's just my thought.
We,
Blessing, welcome. Hold on, let me welcome my few of my friends, and then
mhm.
I'd say let's ask Calm what he thinks on the topic. You got a few seconds to think, my friend. Blessing, how are you? Glad you're here, Mr. Cyrus. I see you too, and my beloved Miss Angelica. Hello, Miss Angelica. How are you doing? Glad you're here. Of course, there's more of you here. Do drop us a comment. We can't
Hey, Angelica.
see you, but we don't know you. I don't know it's you, right? The weird thing to say. Yeah, Mr. Calm. I don't know. No, take it from wherever you like. From what when Coach Ken and I have been discussing. What's
All
your
right.
take? You know,
I would like to say, Coach K, thank you very much for your input. There's a lot of interesting things that you've mentioned, and I am glad that you are um, venturing into making Africa better from your standpoint, and very practically too. Um, I can see, I could see why Annie values your opinion. It's grounded in practice, and that is something that I believe not a lot of Africans um, are doing at this particular junction in time. I spent quite a bit of time this past couple of months. Let's start over. Regarding Annie's question uh, about myself and where I am with respect to the entire year, I have spent money, I have given money, and I feel disappointed as to how much I have given, and I've lost money as a result due to, I guess you could say, miscommunication. But these were ventures that in any and mostly by by sending money to Africa, and this is for ventures that were trials. You know, uh, folks were having excited, trying to elevate people to go from one stage to the next stage. They get excited and they're using my money to put them in location and places where they can advance themselves. I figure that's a good way at the beginning of the year. It's a good way for me to get my money to move around, to just to see what it can do for other people. It's not so much, it's not a lot of money. It's a small amount of money, but what cumulatively it accumulates is to thousands and thousands of dollars. So I start doing some, bookkeeping, find out what exactly has happened to the money. Where did it go? How did it go? How did this venture happen? How did it work? And year upon year, I'm always optimistic that things will get better. But in the past couple of years, I've been noticing that things haven't gotten better with respect to how I've utilized my money and what has happened to it. I find that, of course, they have been cheated. So if they have been cheated, that means I have been cheated. And it's not their fault. Ultimately, I'm thinking to myself, how can I say it's their fault? It's not. It can't. I mean, that's the automatic feeling I've got, but it's not their fault. More likely than not, it lies on it's my fault. Maybe I should have done, because there have always been advisements indicating, hey, you shouldn't do that because it's not a good idea. Can you really trust this, what's actually happening? And actually, it shows that that company that you're actually invested in, or they're investing in, is not a good company, or the people they're investing in are not good people. And I've actually seen families become devastated continuously. I mean, there's a whole person who I'm actually particularly involved with. She's a dentist. She had her entire business. She's in the country of Kenya. She was in Nairobi. It was at some point it was okay, but then she had some bad luck with her partner, the one she opened the business with, and they had to divest the business because for some reason or another, maybe they were not getting along, but something horrible happened and the finances were not so good. So she went and get a loan from this bank, but the bank did not proceed to deliver the loan. And so now she's being investigated because they think the government is thinking that she's committing fraud, but she's not. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh. And then she loses her entire business. And the people that were working in there, they lose their jobs. It's because she cannot pay them. But she's been waiting for this bank to deliver the money so that she can actually continue working. And when she borrowed the money, she put all her houses, all her assets um, against the loan. And now she's lost the houses. But the thing that's really hurtful is that her mother's house is lost. The one that she grew up in. They put that on the list too. I was like, oh my gosh. And now it's been auctioned. I'm like, what the hell is Kenya going? What's this? Huge corruption. Huge political. The environment is changing quite a lot. Africa is going through there's a lot of positive things that are happening, but I think there's substantially a lot of negative things that are happening as well that are not being that are not in the news. Well, you're not going to get them here in the diaspora. No, not here. And even if you were to get them, would you believe them? I don't know. But that's what she's going through. So I'm assuming that there's a whole bunch of people in Nairobi, in Kenya, who are going through this. And on top of that, the deals that are being promoted by upper echelon, those who are in government, seem to be driving us back towards colonial period. And I'm looking at that, I'm saying, what's happening? Why aren't we advancing as an African nation, as an African continent? It's
I
been
think
60 years
they're
since
overvaluing
independence
the
and all
West.
that's the thing. Yeah, and that you and the people who are overvaluing the West are
Or
the
in
upper
leadership.
echelon, are in leadership. They're the ones
Mhm.
who are driving the big macroeconomic money, which affects the bottom line. And they're taxing the bottom line to to borrow that money from the IMF or whoever it is getting the
What
loan from,
you
and
know,
putting
that's
the
what capitalism is. And there's a lot of capitalism into play when it comes to politics. And the thing is, a lot of people there it's the wealth is in knowledge, right? And I want to say this a particular way because a lot of what I say is reserved for private conversations. But basically, the West, is known for being born off capitalism, which essentially is slavery. So when those that get into position or power, they see this as the system that's at play. They essentially encaptivate their own people because capitalism is not a color thing, it's a money thing. And that's where people are getting it wrong. It's not an African problem, it's a people problem because I'm able to explain this so well because it originated here, not there, you know. And so that's why I say the power in partnerships and developing community is there are some things we can change and there's some things we can't. And if you know that that's the system that we are living in, then you have to play around the rules of that system. And so I believe in developing communities, and anybody in Africa absolutely needs a partnership outside a partnership with integrity, like an intentional partnership outside of Africa, so that they don't keep getting played. Because if you just partner with somebody that has the same amount of knowledge as you and cannot advance you, then how can you actually advance when you know the system is set up against you? When you can say that out loud, then you have to revalue the cards that you're dealt so that you can actually play to win the game. Because we can't wake up and change politics tomorrow. That's something that's going to be a long game thing. But the thing we can do today is start developing partnerships that can give and provide better tomorrows for people way faster than any government will and can, because the government is not necessarily for the people at this moment.
and that's where this thing to do with China is becoming more and more attractive. Because as far as I can tell, even with the set of as I see it, an African mindset is that of poverty mindset versus an abundance mindset. I believe the Chinese people are actually practically implementing an abundance mindset. Practically implementing
100%.
an abundance mindset.
I love the way they
Ubuntu,
live.
Ubuntu is predicated upon the abundance mindset, but it is and Ubuntu is an African word, but for some reason or another, it is not being practiced at particular juncture in Africa. It is there. It lives there. It is something that we should incorporate and try to incorporate upon ourselves. And this is kind of something that I want to take into 2026.
What country are you in, Michael?
Myself,
Yes.
currently, I'm in the
In
United
your
States, where you are.
Oh, okay. So you know about Kwanzaa, right?
Yes, I am not too familiar with Kwanzaa. No.
So
I am I know that it exists. I know the periphery of it, but I do not know the details.
So I don't know the deep details, but and I'm just putting this out, just as an idea with you and I and any right now, right? But what if because Kwanzaa's coming up and it goes for about a week after Christmas, and it basically it's something that's created out of disenfranchisement from what we know, from things that people know. But I believe that you can create your own system of beliefs, within your household. But what Kwanzaa essentially does is it talks about these rooted African words such as Ubuntu and to educate people. And I think it would be cool to have people outside of Africa as well as Africans like to host an online event during the week of Kwanzaa to show up for like 7 days or whatnot and just talk about what it means and allow Africans to give their perspectives and for Americans or not just Americans but whoever shows up that's interested honestly in learning about what this means because to me I believe that our souls are our souls. We all come from God and our skin is like our clothes that keeps our spirit held, right? And so I believe that there's good and bad people in every single culture. And the exact same thing that happened, not the exact same thing that happened to your friend, happened to me, though, like after helping African businesses and doing the right things as far as my living situation. I I went through a series of really messed up events and had to move out of my place. And then the person that I paid as a realtor to find my apartment scammed me while I was living in a hotel with my goddaughter. So that's not an African issue. That's a people with integrity issue. Scammers are everywhere, and people that lack knowledge are getting scammed regularly all over the place. And so I want to formulate African rooted language as an everyday practice for people because when something good, it shouldn't be limited to just some. Like that's how we build a community that gets people involved. That's like, I believe in that as well. And then those are the people we work with.
That sounds like a fantastic idea. I do believe that there are many communities that we can join that I can point you to that you might want to take a look at for yourself to see whether they are actually doing what you're actually what you're actually proposing.
Well, I know this is what I'm proposing for my company. Not necessarily that, but I'm open to sharing it from a perspective of saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. And if you are attached to communities that you think may be a good fit, then you present it on your behalf because I already have a list of to-dos and companies to meet out to that I have to reach out to because I'm after a very particular niche of people.
You have your RSVP list.
To a degree.
Excellent.
But I'm not looking to reach the masses necessarily. I'm not interested in popularity. If I can avoid it, I will. But if I have to put myself out there, I will as well. But I only like to do things that make sense. And for the sake of my own health, I'm not trying to appease the masses because the masses don't listen to people. They listen to politicians and people with money. So that's who I need to go and have conversations with. But I'm willing to help people that put together communities and I'm willing to share in conversations like this and, be open to helping develop structures so that people that is serious about it can do it themselves or develop communities to do it.
I like that. I like the sound of that. It's fun. It's finding those people, right? David, welcome, my friends. It says more collaboration and less ego. Africa will thrive and be encouraged to continue growth. Now, you're welcome to join the studio if you want to add to the conversation, David. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. And other Africans who are here, that do say something. Michael, I think your point is it's an issue that goes on forever, right? I'm not sure how we solve it.
I'm hoping that we
I mean,
make
I
more
can.
progress
I
and
want to
end it in
challenge you to.
2026.
Go for it, Coach Kelly.
So let's do this challenge, and it's really me challenging myself. But I haven't had any kind of competition in a long time because I haven't been doing it.
Me and Michael will do, right?
But clearly, I'm a sales and marketing girl, and I really need a push. And I don't believe in waiting to 2026 to push.
Hmm.
So, like, maybe we can commit to showing up, once a day for a week during the week of Kwanzaa. But I'll share what I'm doing to develop communities, and you guys don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but maybe formulate a way to build communities within where you are, so that you can have your people on and offline that really are in alignment with you. You know what I mean? So that you can actually replicate what I'm doing. And so for me, I'm gonna challenge myself to put out wine tastings or like do something in person the 7 days of Kwanzaa. It might not be wine tastings, it might be something else, but I'm gonna challenge myself to host free meetups or something at a coffee shop, or to do it. I might do it virtually, but just create some form of community each day of people that actually want to know more from you, that are interested in what you are saying. Because the thing is, I was telling Annie earlier, well, I think you were there, or
Hmm.
I'm talking to Paul, but I was saying that, like to paint pictures connecting people to the story so that they can see how it can work for them. And you guys really think about how your movement could work for someone else. Because, like I said, when I hear someone getting scammed in Nairobi, Kenya, right? Hypothetically, if I was her partner or if she was a member of the community, the way that I'm formulating my community is I'm going to do Q&As, maybe either twice a month, and if I could do once a week, but I'm going to try to commit to twice a month, right? But I would say, hey, in the community, has anybody else dealt with this in Kenya, or does anybody have contact that can help her so that she's not going at this alone, And so that's what I mean by having power in community and partnerships, so that you have somebody else to like alert you when things don't seem right, or um, or if you need a second opinion.
I can see how a
I like that
community,
idea.
yeah, will be helpful for sure. I said, but I am thinking in my head, it seems inevitable that we're going to get to 2026 with Africans and African businesses and African professionals still needing help. If anything, probably need more help than ever.
Yeah, but sometimes the help is in the backyard, because if a business just closed, like for the person I know, I told him, I said, how businesses don't make it and end up having to close every day for various reasons. Maybe somebody like got blessed with another generator, or has a business that their business went out, so they'll, give you their generator and allow you to make payments on it. There's ways around just, give me money to fix this problem. That's a problem that could be fixed overnight if somebody has an extra generator.
I agree. Are we even close to, I guess, using our gifts to transform our lives? I mean, here's the weird thing I see, my friends. The weird thing is that when we go abroad and become part of the diaspora, Africans are, we're big players in almost every niche, every business, right?
So what about using your network?
Yeah, so like, how come we can't do it at home? How come we insist on not doing it at home? It's 2026, the year that we'll begin to. The part of the answer, is a mindset issue. Like I said earlier, how do we change that?
So what if I found this platform recently that I'm gonna put into the group, and they allow you to send out 300 free emails and or text messages or something a day, and people have some that they already have, right? But this is something that I'm just throwing out that's free, where you can go through your contacts and pick out 300 people that you think may be in alignment with the message or the things that are important to you, your core values, right? Because your core value is being a part of the change that Africa needs to progress, right? So
Yeah.
maybe do 300 invites collectively, because we know that if you just send out a few, only one or two people may show and may not, you know.
I agree.
And so we do 300 invites, and you can invite them to your content, basically. Invite them to if we do the Kwanzaa show, you can invite them to that to talk about what the core values are, because this is not something that's about money, it's about core values. And the thing is, when you can align your core values with people, then the money will come a lot easier, because then their resources also become your resources, because your core values are the same.
I like that. No, again, it's
I like
anything. Go on, Michael.
I like that bit. I like that idea. I've also
Yeah.
got a question for you,
Mhm.
and it's yeah, of course, I'm supposed to know more about Africa than anything else, but I don't necessarily have do that or know that, because now I have a question which asks, which there's such a thing as a Better Business Bureau over here, okay,
Mhm.
where it lists a whole bunch of businesses, and it lists them in terms of how how well they do, how well they're doing,
Mhm.
because it's driven by uh, by experiences of their customers, what they say and don't say about them. Okay, does Africa have a Better Business Bureau? And if not, can the diaspora create a Better Business Bureau for Africa such that we people who want to do business with people in Africa can know and say, okay, these are the people I can work with who have a reputation of getting things done in Africa.
So here's the thing. Um, the thing to know about when you get into that, couple things. You can pay your way to get an A on the Better Business Bureau. We're gonna start with that one, because I worked for AT&T when I did marketing. A company that can have an F can get an A by paying a fee. Um, but my consulting firm is based on integrity, and then also I have a friend out of Scotland. Actually, they do most of their work in London, that hosts events and a thing called the 100 most reputable Africans on earth every year. But the thing is, developing a community, you can be that you are the Better Business Bureau for that community. Like you can be the thing that you feel Africa needs, but you have to also understand. And I run into this with Africans more than anybody, that Africa is a continent of 52 different countries, and so that's why. Relationship building and partnerships are so important, because it requires a community to help Africa as a whole. It's not just Kenya, it's not just Nigeria, it's not just Cameroon. Like, if we're going to make it a continent thing, each place deserves its own partnerships, in my opinion, so that it is actually a diaspora thing, and not just those that can help themselves type of thing.
Thanks. Yeah.
I'm really about everybody,
Mm.
because I believe that I talk about them on every show, every until I can get a hold to somebody in this community. That the people in Nigeria that had took the scraps from the city, and built that floating city on the water, that they're like viewed as castaways. Those are the people that's like eating fresh fish from the Atlantic instead of eating ported in fish from China that took however long. Um, those people are the geniuses of Africa. The most overlooked people are often the geniuses. And so help is usually closer than it looks, but most people are just overlooking it. It's not resources, it's resourcefulness that there's a lack of when the mindset is not positioned correctly.
How true, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lifetime. I'm not sure when I know. answer your question necessarily. This is why I say, we need Black people, Africans here, especially. Oh, even if it's Africa interested, Africa affiliated people, as we were saying earlier, Coach K.
Yeah, but it's okay, because the thing is that I've been learning later. I mean, learning recently, is that all energy can be alchemized. And when it comes to this algorithm, and then I don't know, it might be a real question. I can't think of nothing that he's done. And so I don't mind people asking questions.
So maybe, when he turned up to charity money for, the aid money for Africa, he did them a favor.
Well, that didn't really help me, because I've been starving all year and I live in America.
No. Didn't it turn off the money to charities in Africa?
My answer to that question is I can't really think of anything
he's done good.
Moment, but I think he was the person that was in office during COVID. Yeah, he was. And I was able to get my business along because of him at that time. And so that was a really great thing.
Sorry, my phone's ringing.
I had that thing on silent like we in the movies.
Yeah. if only.
You see the background. I felt like I was at the movie theater. But no, it was ironic that I got that call from Nigeria last night, because I'm like, why is he busting through on my video like this? And he's trying to show me that the business is working, that everything is legit, because the company that I initially went there to help out, shortly after I helped them gain an influx of funds, they started mismanaging money, and no one actually told me. And I didn't find out until last night. And he was calling to ask for more money. And I'm like, listen, after that last loan, which I did get back, but after the last loan that I put out there that was interest free, and I was met with the lack of integrity when I found myself in a situation, is why I have the stance that I have, that it's got to be about me too, for me to help, because I can't just be pouring, from an empty cup. And I can't tell you how many times I heard, "My American auntie, what do you have for me?" And I was like, can you make hair? Do you make jewelry? Can you pound the fufu? Because if you're not making nothing for me, why do you expect me to have for you? Where's this level of expectation? Because I believe I'm the king's kid, but I don't believe that anybody owes me anything. And so the level of expectation has to be remanaged, because the most asked question in Nigeria is, what do you have for me? You're on mute.
Most asked question, most of Africans I meet on here especially, is that very question. What do you have? Can you help me? Can you give me?
Yeah.
Can I have? And I'm hoping and praying we don't go into 2026 with that, as with, I guess, seeking outside help as our only answer.
Well, it's not about seeking outside help as much as it's about what can you give. Because when you open a conversation where I have to give this, then it allows you to attach with people that need that, and then they say, okay, well, I have to give this. And that's how bartering works, not what can you give me.
Yeah, no, that's a lesson for us, right?
Such a sweeter deal, because honestly, when a person has abundance in something, they tend to give you more.
Yeah, for sure. Alavine, I see what you're saying. So she said, beyond mindset, there are habits and patterns so deeply installed for so long that nobody can see them for what they are.
I mean, she might not can see them, but I know exactly what they are, because they originate from over here. And the class that I developed is to teach against the rooted values that were taught to everybody, because the exact same colonization that happened there really happened here for much longer. And so the deeper root of slavery is not about being in bondage as much as it's about Stockholm syndrome of keeping a mind captive far longer after the chains are removed, just like the elephant with the rope thing. And so I can understand some people thinking that it's something nobody can see, but as far as I'm concerned, it's in broad daylight, and it's a big red flag the minute we open our mouths to one another in a lot of situations. And because it's as simple as words, words are not hard. We learn to read words in kindergarten, and in fact, most Africans prefer short sentences when they're in English. So it's like, get your shit together, you know. Nobody owes you nothing. What can you also give? And when you are a giver, you are a blessing. Blessings attract blessings. So it's really simple. We make it hard because we tell ourselves it's hard, and the road to get here has been hard as F, for real. We're not saying that didn't happen, because my grandparents were sharecroppers longer than they should have been, you know. And so I acknowledge why it happened, what happened, and why it happened, but the root of how to make a slave lies in its teachings of the words we speak and the divisiveness of one another. They thrive on divisiveness. It's a letter called a Willie Lynch letter, and it talks about how to make a slave. And I have the top 5, the most important 5 pages. If anybody wants it, just DM me. But it talks about how to captivate someone's mind by putting them against each other and breaking up the unity, basically, in community. And so the more disconnected we are, the longer this pattern exists, and we do it ourselves, and no one has to make us be divisive, because we're thinking that people that could be for us are not for us, because we're not teaching them from our standpoint. While it's important, we're saying it's important, and they see that if it was them, it would be important. But in most situations, until people are in a situation themselves, they don't even wrap their mind around what it is. For real, I had to go to Nigeria to understand, because even in what I had been told by my Nigerian friends that live there or come from there, my brain still couldn't see everything, because there's so much good, and I see the other stuff that's not great, but I look for the good, so I see it more, you know.
Yeah, I was in Ghana in September, and Africa has many good things. Like Ghana certainly has many good things. I'll say that. Hopefully, I haven't been sending out the wrong link. I wonder if I have.
If what happened?
I'm sending out the wrong link. That's half my problem.
I got here from the one in the comments.
Yeah, no, I've been the link to join the room.
I know. I thought you dropped one in the comments. That's where I believe I got here from.
Yeah. I did. I've sent out a lot of the wrong links. As we're talking, I'm always sending DMs always.
Okay.
And I've been sending the wrong DM, which is really annoying.
Well, I have this live. I have it going live on my YouTube, so I just felt I'm talking because I don't want to. I want to stay on brand, and I want to have a solid replay for those that watch later, because I want to send it out to some people as well. Because sometimes, a lot of times, it's just stuff that people need to hear. It's not even, like I said, that big. And if it takes for them to hear me say it or hear because some people like your British accent. So you just saying it makes a difference, because, for example, I'm not even going to put it out there, but I've seen how to sell to African Americans, and a British accent is one of them. It's a more trusting voice, because it's the Queen's English, coming from like the colonizer standpoint. So the tonality, and like here they will call it talking white in a lot of Black communities. But the thing is, Black people trust white people more than they trust each other. And so having a British accent actually works in your favor here.
Thank goodness. At least that's something that works, right? It's fun.
And it's just you being yourself, though, because
Yeah.
it's not like you're putting on a British accent. This is who you are. But
Yeah.
but we don't have that here. A lot of Americans talk not like me because I'm very lax in my speech at this point. But even those that code switch don't sound like you, and you're different and you're unique. It's the fact that you're not where you are. So like there, everybody talks like that. But the minute you go,
That's not true. That's not true.
well, not everybody, but it's the common. It's the common
Yeah, the
language.
common accent, so to speak.
Yeah, the accent is the accent of Europe, and so once you leave Europe, you're an anomaly.
Well, it's what it is. I wish Michael was back. So I do want to ask a question about where are we going with AI? Because now some people will tell you it's our salvation, it's what's going to save Africa. Others will tell you it's going to kill Africa.
No,
I wonder,
it's going to help Africa.
Go on, please carry on.
I think that it's going to help. I think that people just need to learn the value of things, things and people. Because, so like, let's say if you're a one-man operation and you can't, and you don't have the money, you don't have the network, but you got a network, you got a Wi-Fi network. You have a network of people, but you got Wi-Fi, right? Then you use AI to manufacture tasks to make it easier for you to become who you need to become so you can hire people so that you can get the help that you need. It's a tool. It's just like a gardening tool. So if you have to use AI to reach outside of Africa to find one person that's of importance, or that of not of importance, but let's say influence, right? If you can reach one person of influence using AI, then it's done its job if it helps you solve your mission.
Yeah.
Because most people in Africa feels like they have nobody. So it's like, use AI to get you somebody. Use it as a fishing pole.
Yeah, and so we can use it as a tool. I use most AI, which is ChatGPT, for example, to create designs I can't create otherwise, to create videos I can't create otherwise.
I've used it to create art.
Yeah.
It helps you with it's helping out a lot with marketing. So like I said, there's this thing now you can go in. Well, that's AI when you can make one flyer and send it to 300 people via email and text within less than 10 minutes. Do you understand the time you get with data entry on something like that? Time is currency.
It really is. See, but then I hear other funny things right now. Some
Everybody fears what they don't understand, and so a lot of time they just start making up stuff.
I think a friend of mine said the other day, you don't need qualifications.
You know who?
You don't need degrees or diplomas. You need AI.
It depends on your industry. I wouldn't disqualify education, and the only reason that I say that is for multiple reasons, right? When my son wanted to go to school for business, knowing that I am a business, that I do business and different things, I said, okay, well, why? Well, tell me your reason for wanting to go. I didn't discourage him. I just asked why he wanted to go. And he says, well, technically, I know how to do what I really want to do for real right now, but I want to build my network and I want to learn how to do it at a different way. And as a person that didn't finish college, because I really felt like they should have been paying me to be in the class. I was so upset and disappointed in the education that I was receiving. I realized that there are certain elements that as I reached different levels in business, that those were the instructions to that, because I was self-made, right? And so I value experience and education because, yes, you can use AI to do a lot of things depending on what you want to do, especially if you're doing like marketing and branding. You really don't need a degree for some things. It just depends on what your goal is. But then if you're like, I want to help people, or I need to understand law, like, yes, you need to take your ass to school for certain things. because there are certain things I personally don't want AI to do, and there are certain things that I would rather trust in the hands of a person, even if AI could do it. And there's going to always be people that would prefer people over AI, because the more you have off of the internet, then that's your intellectual property, and that's the things that can't be destroyed or hacked, you know. And so there's got to be value in the old and the new.
See, I might take it further, Coach K, and say, you know what, I think education helps. I'm not sure why a person would need 3 degrees, for example. I think that's overkill, right? That's just learning for the sake of learning, for the sake of learning, for the sake of learning, for the sake of learning. 1 degree would do, right? Because education essentially, it gives you a way to think, right? And I think having the knowledge is invaluable, because you create from your knowledge, you create from what you know. Yes, you can learn things ad hoc. You learn things from videos, from reading books, and I say, but when you do a degree in something, at least in degrees I've done, I say, even go as far as getting a PhD, right? You learn things about how to think about your topic, how to understand different things, and I can't help but feel like we're what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like we're dumbing down. We're trying to dumb down Africans by lying. With education, you open doors, right? Some jobs are only for those people who are qualified. If you choose not to be qualified because you think you can do everything without a qualification, you're never going to begin to get your foot in the door.
Yeah,
and rightly so. And I don't, it just feels odd to be telling people don't get an education because you don't need it. I won't tell my son that. I won't tell my daughter. I won't tell my daughter that, because it's not true, right? We know they need it to actually open those doors.
Education is definitely needed. I think that to each his own, and I really believe that there's the thing that I will say is there's more than one way there's more than one way to be educated. And I think that education and experience are equally important, because education teaches you how, and experience means I've done it already. And so I value both. But I think that we live in an age where before it was kind of like you graduate, you go to college, you buy a house, and you get married, and you have a family and a dog and a white picket fence. And I think that ideology kind of spread from the Western world or whatnot.
Yeah.
But that really puts you in debt, a lot of debt. And there's ways, like for me, as an example, over the last 2 to 3 years that I've been like active and not active, just going do different things. I've taken more certifications and master classes in 2 years than I could ever imagine, because it's the thing that I like to do for fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because we're gonna have to learn sometime.
Yeah, and the thing is, learning is fun and exciting, and that's what I teach my students. And I said it to my kids so many times that I started believing it again. Because when you become an adult, you like, I want to go through this shit again. Like, you remember what it's like sitting in class, and but it's like, as an adult, we have so many ways to learn, and we can learn from one another. We can learn by way of going to or creating experiences. And so if we are open to learn and value learning in different ways, because it's like, come on. I'm looking to take CEOs on a learning wellness retreat where we're learning and taking care of ourselves and getting massages. And, there's more than one way to learn. And the more you earn, the better you can learn, is my motto, because you can make it.
I agree. And also, I agree with you. There's more than one way to skin a cat. No cats were harmed in this conversation, by the way. I'm just saying, there's more than yes, the old recipe, get a degree, get a job, get a good paying job, work that for forever, retire on a good pension, and then you die, right? That's not the only way, is it? So yes, you can be a YouTube star, you can be a TikTok star if you, but those, if you're lucky, those are not a strategy for all.
But I don't think that has to do with luck. It's because when you think about the ones that are of influence or that make money, right? Because there's actually a lot of people making money on YouTube. That's why I said, hold on, let me stream. Because although I'm just not starting to stream it, do this, and I'm not making money from it right now, I'm aware that the more this content resonates with people that are interested in what we are saying, then I will make money, right? And so that's why you hear me say, I got to stream from my YouTube, because the beauty of YouTube is that it's a tube to you. So the more relevant you are, the more impact you're delivering, then the more people will watch. And attention is currency. Whatever you pay attention to is currency. Time is currency, for real. And I think YouTube is the best example of that. And so that's the importance of making sure we're resonating with people, anybody that's interested. Because when I got to Texas and my son first got paralyzed and I lost my job and all this stuff, right? I had no idea who would show up to help me. And of course, I assumed it would be who I perceived to be my close friends and my immediate family. And nobody came for years. My help financially, my largest contributor of help after sharing my experience. No, I didn't share my experience. I shared a little bit. I let Facebook know that my son was in an accident. My old coworker from Bosnia, she was Bosnian, and she lived in a Bosnian community in St. Louis, where she joined the Tony Robbins group and shared my story with people that were in Australia. And people in Australia helped me that had never met me in a way that nobody I knew actually thought to. And so that's why I believe in the power of community and allowing different partnerships and different people in, because oftentimes the help that we need is never going to come from where we expect it to come from. But we ask God for help. So it's like, hey, we got to be willing to accept it if he sends it in a different package.
For sure. I always put from various sources when I do my prayers. I'm just saying, right? That you never know where it's going to come from. Michael, we're talking about AI. Where is AI going to take Africa and Africans? Cyrus says, which I agree with, we're years away from AI, real artificial intelligence with machine learning. We're a long way from that. Well, some people tell me we're not, Cyrus. Someone told me the other day that AI essentially took some data. So people put data in experiment, put data into an AI system. The AI system gave them the analysis they wanted, they asked for, and then said, "Oh, but what about these? What about these?" Is that artificial intelligence? I'm not sure. And again, people talk about how AI machines can go into self-preservation mode.
Mm-hmm.
So they think, they think you're about to turn them off or you're about to change them to be less important. Then they will falsify stories about the people who use the machines. Like they fire off emails to the bosses saying that you have an affair, you're racist, you're this, you're that. I'm not sure I believe a word of it, Cyrus, but I'm told it happens. But I agree with you. Machines that can think, that can originate a thought by themselves, we're a long way from. We all have machines that they crunch data and they scan pages online. That's what it comes down to, right? And Alavine, again, I agree with you. And education is important. It's important. Experience too. That's what Coach K is saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my podcast, I heard knowledge without strength is destruction. Isn't that so true, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So learning comes from everyone and everywhere. Thank you for what you're saying. That's to you, Coach K, right?
Thank you.
Alavine's in the studio. We found Alavine. Sorry. Let me celebrate. Alavine's back in our world again. Anyway, go on, Michael. I'll let you talk. Then we'll go to now.
We implement AI in accordance to what we believe. I believe that AI is some sort of augmented intelligence. It augments my intelligence. All right. It provides me with information that if I'm doing, because right now I'm using the majority of the time to do research. I want to do research on the amount of data that's out there. I have questions. Go and find this information and let me know what it's about, and teach me. Teach me. I want to learn. AI has many uses, uh, and different uses depending on the purpose of the person that's actually using it. What is your purpose when you go to when you encounter AI? What do you want it to do? Sometimes it's possible that it's capable of doing those things, and sometimes it's not. It's possible it's not capable of doing those things yet. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to learn and figure out how to do it. Or you can go to another AI, because you have multiple AIs that are out there, but just one, and see what they could do. Because it's like, AI with personalities, and humans. They're different personalities. They're different people out there. Not all of them can do the same things. As a result, that's the kind of AI you're going to get. That's what you're going to encounter when you encounter an AI. It's capable of doing this because it's got certain personalities or data based on certain personalities, and that's why it's capable of doing this. But if you go to another one, it's not capable of doing what you want it to do because it's got different type of data and a different way of approaching things. But humans are like that too. So it's just going to all depend on how you approach AI and how you intend to use it. You're going to be the driver. AI is being used right now. It's not like as if it's not useful. It's not like as if it's not being used. And if you're intending to use it, or if you're intending to create a robot or anything like that, well, you yourself have to be advanced enough to create the dependencies that it will need in order to become a robot. But are you capable of doing that? Africa is probably not there yet, but eventually we'll get there. But we're just not there yet. We need power. Right now, we have no power. We have no electricity. We can't sustain AI for a long period of time. It's just not possible. So we're not going to be able to generate anything worthwhile aside from using the logarithms and algorithms that are currently there. And most of these algorithms are Western, are European, African based. And they're Asian, African based. So we know that AI requires power. Lots of power, and sustainable power. Not just lots of power, it has to be sustainable. And there are there's some inferences out there in Africa where you can just make power out of thin air, where there are people who are making power out of thin air. That's been out in the news for quite a while. But now the question is, how do we get together and implement that and use that? But our immediate needs are powering our houses, educating our children, feeding them, getting enough energy to make something meaningful out of the day that we're living in, so that we can survive until the next day. We're still at that point. We're cavemen right now in Africa. We need to figure out how to feed ourselves.
Yeah, like I said, that on the one hand is it's pretty depressing as a thought in itself. Like that we're still there, But so, I suppose I agree with you on most of the things and everything you said. In the sense that we need to learn to use the tool. So my thinking is always that the rest of the world's learning to use the tools as well. And so I think when you mix your problem with electricity that we don't have in Africa, that's a constant resource. it means we're probably being left further behind than we even realize.
But AI can save time while if you can use it properly while the electric is on, then it's like you get your time back. Like it's two
Yeah,
sides to every
yeah.
coin.
Well, no, you can do more than you could before. I agree, but again, I might say you can do that if you pay for the AI tools. And most again, I remember what our conversation started with our thing about money that we haven't got
Yeah,
that
but as outsiders, we know the ones that are free. And so we
mm,
can share the free tools with the community. When I spoke, like the place that I'm looking at, that I'm working with right now, they're kind of in a village and they're getting 18 out of 24 hours of electricity. The other hours you sleep anyway. So it's not like the electricity is on for 6 hours of the day and out for 18.
Coach K, now you got a lot of sharing to do. So please share some of those tools. And I said, now one of my friends I've been working with on a book last couple of days. She's got 4 different AI systems that she pays for, and as Michael said, she knows where to go for what she wants. This one will give her this, and it won't give her that. I said, give her this picture that she wants, this design that she wants, but it won't give her that design that she wants. So it's a multiple platform issue.
Yeah, there's a ton, and it's about doing research, honestly,
Mm.
because Google works everywhere, right? And so whenever I'm trying to do something and I'm confused about how to do it, or I feel like I need a help, the first thing I put into Google is free AI tool that helps with.
I like that. You've learned something, my friends. That's free advice to you, right?
Yeah,
Go ask the questions and go do. Again, if you know electric, Coach K, for most African countries, whether you call it load shedding or whatever you want to call it, I'm saying electric is not a staple.
yeah.
Internet's not a staple for many
But you
people.
know what else is a really good thing of why I'm pushing it so hard?
Go
I
for it.
get the most time and the most effectiveness when I go to like a cafe for 2-3 hours of the day. And the beauty of that is, number one, it puts you in actual community with people that are more than likely, like, they're serious about whatever they're working on too, because you're very rarely the only one there working on your laptop. And so
A cool working space.
yeah, but
System.
that's a free one. So like, or it's not free, but like, let's say you pay $2-3, $5 for a cup of coffee, or just go and buy water or a juice. A lot of places want social proof. Looks like people are in my place. You could actually go to a coffee shop and say, "Is anybody doing your marketing? If I could sit here and if I could do you some marketing." To advertise this place on the internet, is it okay if I sit here for a couple hours and work on my things? Most places are going to be like, okay. And so that allows them to put some of their skills out, and using AI, they can get that business's information out so that they can gain more clients a lot easier. But if you can do 2 to 3 hours of hyper focus in one place versus worrying about why you don't have electricity when you don't have it, because that's an uncontrollable thing. And the
Mm.
grid, that's the problem, is bigger than you right now. But your
Yeah.
problem is immediate right now. And
Mm.
so, as a solutions based coach, I can't help but go straight to the solution of what can we do to solve the right now, so that you can be the one to help formulate that movement of getting your people where they need to be, because the person that see the problem is usually the one that's got to fix it, unfortunately.
No, that I agree with. Look, so we're about to, we're headed towards the end. So let's talk to Alvin for us now for a few minutes. Coach K and Michael. So the last question I have is, what have you learned from your LinkedIn use that we can take into 2026, and what can we do? What can we stop also? Alvin, welcome back. You found your way past YouTube and past Facebook.
Yes. Hello, everyone. This was very awful, I can tell you. How are you guys? Are you good?
Yeah, no, I'm
Je
good.
suis
I'm
bien,
good.
Alvin. Je suis bien.
Yes, ma'am.
Me
Welcome.
too.
Glad to have you here. Now, really nice. It's been such a pain, this lockout that we had on
Yeah.
Friday. I say, many people they'll discover the issue bit by bit when they try and use certain websites, certain apps. Then suddenly they'll have to log in again, and they'll sure we'll get many more messages saying I can't do this. It's like okay, just relax, log in somehow because it just shows the internet's controlled by certain systems and processes. Google being one of those. Alavin, talk to me. What have you learned this year that you're gonna take that we can take forward, and what can we stop?
Yes. So first of all, nice to meet you, Coach K. Thank you for what you said. It was quite interesting. That is my first word. I'm happy to be there with you guys. And about 2025, I've learned so far that LinkedIn, if you know the rules, is a very good tools in order to expand your network, in order to learn a new language if you are interested in, or to learn new skills as well. And I also can say that I underuse it because I don't really know the rule, and I am still learning, and I hope for next year that I will be able to use it more, sharing more about my journey toward my, so let's say my old self, uh, from my old self toward my new self, and my journey from not being able to speak in English at all and being able to speak in English in less than 2 years, because I started in October 2023, and I was able to speak in English a year later. So I know it is not as perfect as a native now. I agree with everyone, but let's say since last year, 2024, I am able to understand people when they speak with me, and I am understandable. So maybe I'm not. I still have to learn, but I am happy for what I've done so far, and I hope I will know how to use it better, to know the rule of LinkedIn, because I'm still learning. That's all for the moment.
Thank you so much. That's an important one. So I will come back to you in a second about AI. So AI in Madagascar or in Reunion Island. Where is it? How is it? So here's what I was saying. But I think knowing how to speak good English. I mean, your English is great, Alvin. Seriously, ask any of us here to speak another language. Maybe Michael can. Maybe Coach K can. I can't. Your English is brilliant, and I'm hoping it's opened doors for you. Or even if it's just on LinkedIn as well, for you to talk to more people, because we are lazy in the West about our English. We just if you don't speak English, we're like, well, can't talk to you. No, whereas I'm hoping that you've got the benefit that you can talk to more people. But most
Yes.
Africans can speak English. Most Africans, we learn English at school. It's the
Yeah,
only thing.
but
It's the only thing in the
Annie,
world. Go
you're
on.
from Nigeria, right?
Yeah,
You can also speak pidgin
yeah, I can. It's not going to get me anywhere.
and understand it, which is pretty good. I can't understand a bloody thing.
Well, you can speak your language in Uganda.
Yeah, but I really admire the pidgin that you can speak. It's just wow. And when I'm thinking to myself every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, geez, what's that nonsense? But it's not getting through. But the people who are talking can talk, and I'm like, hey, it's like a completely different language. It's English, but it's a completely the way it's put together, structured. Like no, 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 no. That's a totally different language. Pidgin.
I agree. I agree. Look, what have you learned on LinkedIn this year, my friend? And what have you learned that we can take away, whether to do more of or less of?
Well, I've learned the biggest lesson is Uh, when you're nice to people, people will be nice back to you. Um, you need to capture their hearts more so, more so than their minds. Um, how do you capture their hearts? Just go back to the simple things that you learned in child when you were a child. How do you capture a child's heart? Something that you can do on LinkedIn that is powerful, um, that personal as well, that is also personal, is a big deal. I do, I go about sending birthday notifications. LinkedIn allows you to do that to a whole bunch of people. I do it in different ways. I can send graphics, I can send music, um, and most recently, I've been leaving messages, audio messages, that they can listen to. Not videos just yet, because I don't think we can do that yet. But I think we can, but I haven't done that. Just haven't. But you can do that as well. Those are the things that I respond to and people respond back to. And you know, there, there are a lot of people out there in the world that just want you to say happy birthday to them. Thank you for thinking about them. Thank you for relaying your message. Taking the time to say happy birthday via audio. That's a time consuming thing, but it's also a very personal thing. I learned that that is valuable on LinkedIn.
I like that. I like that. I mean, you've gone from, I guess tumbleweed to how many followers you have now? 14,000.
Yeah, tumbleweed. Yeah, that's a very good.
No, so my question is, do those numbers help you, or are they just numbers? Are they, are
Currently,
they beneficial
current,
to you?
they're, I have not made them beneficial to me at this juncture. What I have done is introduced myself. That is all I have done. And um, as a result, maybe some of these followers are connecting because, yes, I have connected with them. And yes, I do, when it comes time to my birthday, I do get some birthday notifications. And that's actually jumped up quite a bit since I've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years actually. Last year, I didn't get any notifications. This year, I got quite a slew of notifications. So I guess it probably even underscores the way people are feeling um, this year as opposed to last year. There's some sort of loneliness, um, and that loneliness, I can only assume, is driving maybe some of the rates. So how do I don't know how to turn it into something, followers into something, a movement or anything of that nature. But this is where Coach K comes into play. And maybe talking to her and, coming up with ideas because she's very good at solutions and just spitting them out. And but at the same time, she has that ability, but at the same time, she also knows that you need to have the energy to drive yourself to work on those ideas, whichever ones you pick, whichever ones suit you, whichever ones you can naturally you can naturally work with, that make you who you are, that do not take you away from yourself, but keep you steady and grow you and expand the roots that you are trying to create. And ultimately, my goal is to create a community eventually at some point. But this is the beginning. It's not the end. And 2026 is just going to be a year in which I continue to expand and at the same time try and see where my niche lies really. And if I can just figure that out, I guess I'm hoping to be unstoppable. Or
I like that. I like
Michael,
that.
yes,
Go on,
Katika.
Crochet.
can I change your words at the end when you say like I guess I'm gonna be unstoppable? Like I do this thing for myself because I'm in a space where of isolation where I'm really not around too many people. So the
Hmm.
words that I need to hear, I write them on a mirror with a dry erase marker because I change them sometimes, right?
Hmm.
So take a dry erase marker and just write on your bathroom mirror, I am unstoppable. So every
Hmm.
time you go to wash your hands or brush your teeth, whether you read it out loud, I suggest reading it out loud because when your brain hears it, it believes it. It don't know the difference between you faking it or you're not. It hear it, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm
you'll
gonna send you
you'll
some tunes.
you'll subconsciously read it even when you don't say it out loud. You'll be reading, brushing your teeth like I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. You
I
know.
have a song that goes in my head that says
hmm
the same thing, and I'll send. It's like a nursery rhyme. I'll send
But
it out to you.
the thing is, like my uncle's like a lieutenant colonel, and he used to always harp on me to me, saying, "Stop saying you're gonna try to do it and just say you're doing it." And I'm just like, and I didn't get it for the longest. And so it's just basically changing your wording to I am and then believing it. You believe it because with that many,
Indeed,
huh?
indeed, I agree with you there.
Yeah, and then like with that many followers, if you choose to band with me for the Kwanzaa idea, maybe I will offer free co-working sessions or something every day that we have it or whatnot for people that are interested to explore what my community is like because it just
I would
look
like to explore your community. This
okay.
seems like a wonderful adventure.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's the purpose of it for me. I've been working on it for some time, and the thing is, I'm going to use different platforms because the key is understanding there's not a one shoe fit all, right? So
no, there
sometimes I'll
isn't.
be on Clubhouse, like audio rooms, because I like the emoji things that's popping up when people are resonating, so you know who and how and where you're impacting, right? So I really
Right.
like that, and it's convenient for a lot of people because you don't have to worry about the whole video debacle, and they have replay, so you don't have to worry about the recording thing. It solves a lot of problems, and it's free and it's international, and
I've
it
got a
has the
question for you.
capacity to hold a lot of people. Uh huh.
Are you a visual learner?
Yes.
That's why you're an artist.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I didn't know I was an artist until like I didn't realize it until this year. In terms of one of the things that I learned from 2025 is that I've always been an A-type personality, a mom, a business owner, and I've been about my business since I was a kid. And that was the only option I was ever really presented. And so now realizing that my kids are adults, it's like, well, now who am I? And this whole rediscovery thing, and it's like, well, I'm still a parent. That don't go away. The core of me wants to help and nurture people. And I've always felt like I raised some really great kids that the world is so not ready for as African American young men. So I feel like I want to nurture the world so they can be ready for my kids, so that when people see them, they actually see them and not what they perceive an African American to look like. And so I will forever harp on building community because good community building comes from good people. It's kind of like if hurt people can hurt people, then heal people can heal people. So I want to teach people how to build good communities in a very easy, simplistic way, depending on who you are and what your core values are. And so,
Hmm.
like the whole idea of having people show up for 7 days to Kwanzaa and holding co-working sessions, it's like my co-working session may look like, well, today I'm going to be sending out invites, or I'm going to be utilizing this platform and doing some screen sharing. Like it just depends on what people are stuck at. And if there's a way that I can just screen share and show people how to get unstuck, because that's the value of being in my community, is I'm going to charge a monthly fee for people to show up, tell me what their problems is, and then we're going to fix them together as a community. Because if I don't have the resource, maybe somebody else here does. And if I don't, then let's go ahead and explore what it looks like to find it, so that you're walking away with something every time versus paying a one-on-one session and draining me and only getting me I don't have time, but I can put people together and say, let's every week, let's work on somebody's problem. And when people realize that there are people around that want the same thing and want to see you succeed, not only do you feel better about the mission that you caught on, you realize that there's people and resources all around me, even people giving you different strategy of how to do. That's wealth. That's a resource. Because it's like, man, I could have been did this. And it's okay that we don't think of everything, because that's the power of community. We're supposed to be together so we can lend words to one another and unlock doors that we didn't know was in our mind.
Yeah,
I like the way you think.
there's a lot there, and I think that we can take away. And I'm thinking that answers my question about LinkedIn for you, Coach K. Now, build that community. Now, I would also say that what easily be missed is, working with a coach helps us go a long way. Now, Michael, working with Coach K, I can see the benefits already.
You're one of my big takeaways from LinkedIn, the power of people and partnerships. Because when I first started my community, like at this point, anyone that joined is $75 a month, and I know I'm worth it, and that's a very cheap investment to make for me to sit and come unblock major issues. But this is my way of giving back to a community that's willing to pour into me. But before it got to this point, you, Paulette, and Leah, and I feel one other person. I had 4 people that I said it's going to be $25 one day only, and to just believe in me, even though I didn't have it all together. And you were part of the community that said, I don't know what you got going on, but I believed in you. And so you were one of my founding members.
I know. It's a joy, Coach K. It's a joy.
Yeah, and it was just, and at that time, it just looked like showing up to my last minute events, But the power of partnerships can't be underestimated, because that's why I'm here today. Because I've been showing up for Paulette, and I realized I know you only come out for her, and it's like, wait a minute, you're one of the reasons that I'm here too, and your cause is just as important to me. And so as a way of a partnership that we developed some time ago, I'm here. And I haven't been doing LinkedIn events, but these events, they help get my message out. They don't just help you guys. And so the power of partnerships that are developed from LinkedIn should not be underestimated. It's by far my favorite platform, and not because of mass reach, but I developed real partnerships with the people that took the time to invest in me. I've maintained these are you guys are my core relationships on LinkedIn, and the end of the road for my program looks like taking people on an adventure of learning themselves first is the first investment, but then showing them how to replicate these programs to create millionaires. Essentially, millionaires is who will lift up Africa, and if I can make my community a millionaires that care about Africa, then it will live.
Yeah,
That's a very, very good way to look at things. Millionaire is a mindset. Billionaire is also a mindset.
But again,
Trillionaire is a
there's,
mindset.
there's more to it now. Coach K just said, be smart how you monetize LinkedIn. Number one, and maybe give people something, give people what they need, right? Something that's really going to make a difference.
Like for instance, I've been giving, or basically liking people who I enjoy looking at and following. And when they come up with something, I basically recommend them, and I repost what they have put down, and maybe I might have some sort of smart aleck remark or something like that I add to it. But the whole point is for me to introduce them to my community, my followers, people who follow me and follow what because there's constantly certain people that show up in my DMs who are commenting on, and most recently that has been happening, who are commenting on the posts that I put up consistently from Africa. Now that has shown itself up into business solutions or business opportunities because I can connect this person with that person. And I've done that. I connected Zara with one of her clients or a couple of her clients who are currently, you know, and she went ahead and she did her magic and incorporated them into clients. That's Annie has done the same thing, connected that person with that person. And I learned that from Annie as well. That's how you create a community as well, in accordance to what Coach K is espousing. Annie, it's
Yeah.
all yours.
Like hearing you say that, then the first co-working session, I can now say, okay, the first day of Kwanzaa that we do, we can talk about how what it looks like to monetize your followers from where you are. And this is something that I'm doing it as well. So we're learning together. It's not like I'm saying I'm an expert, but based on my marketing background, some ideas that I have, I will share. And if people want to add or, rescope them for their own need, they're open to. But we'll talk about, I'll do the first co working session on how to do that because as a young mom, I made my living off of referrals most of my 20s because my background is sales and marketing. And so the way I'm setting the community up, I'm only going, when I really open it, I'm only going to take 100 people as a focus group and 10 masterminds only. Um, so that I can give quality service. But the objective is once I do deal with 100 people for a year, then I'll reevaluate everything, which means the price will go up. But then the invites from that will come from the core community where you all will have an opportunity to make money, and you will be selective about who you invite because you would then know and see the value in it, and you know that you'll be getting paid from referring somebody in. So it gives it that more integral touch to know that the people that are here have put in money and time investments. Everybody around will have put in maybe at different levels, but it gives you a way more serious community of people that's driving towards that mission, not just wanting host field.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, we need to, as far as the one thing I would say for anyone watching live or here now or watching the replay, is, what I've learned this year is if I think of it, I got to at least try and do it. I got to do it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I say, and I learned something, right? They wouldn't say when we have good ideas. You hear many good ideas. If you say you're going to do something, I say take the first few steps. Start. If you're going to do it and build a community, build it. Do something to at least start building that community. Even if you're just making a plan of how this community will work, doing an outline. Where am I going to get people from? Who do I want? Whose people do I want? And how are we going to give them value? Do something to begin to take action and everything you think.
That, and when we do co-working sessions, we can like actively take focus time to send out invites to our own private communities together. So I'm not trying to get people together to do stuff for
No,
me.
no, no. I'm saying just as a whole, right? Where you
Yeah,
say
well, it's like
that's my learning this year.
like afterwards, like, okay, guys, I'm looking at hosting my first event on
Mm,
Clubhouse, for example.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
send out. Let's make. If anybody need help making flyers, here's the way to do it. And like, let everybody, let's go make flyers. And if you have a platform that you use that you feel is great for marketing, drop it in the chat. Here's the one that I'm going to use. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and we just share, we sit and we share and we focus and we share, we actually do it because sometimes it's all, not sometimes, all the time it's easy to do, but like I said, just taking a couple of hours with intention to do it is all the difference. And sometimes having a group of friends to do it with, it's almost like being in art class. So we're all sitting, imagine us like this but on a different platform, and we're all sitting making flyers. And before we get finished, it's like, okay, guys, y'all want to do a show and tell session to show your flyer, because maybe you'll catch something on my flyer that I missed, or vice versa. And now we feel confident about putting this out. And it's like, okay, either we stay on and let's go ahead and shoot this flyer out of our campaigns, or if it's running late, then we move it to the next day and say, okay, but by the end, what if by the end of Kwanzaa, because it ends on January 1st, by the end of Kwanzaa, we should have launched our communities at the start of the year, which would be a really great way to start the year, because Kwanzaa starts on the December the 26th, from Christmas to New Year.
Yeah, I mean, work to do, Coach K. Work to do. Look, our time has gone. There's much we've learned. But Alavine, I do want to talk to you for a few minutes about AI, Miss Alavine.
So, in my country, let's say in the south of my island, we don't have a good internet connection. So that is the first part. And the other thing is, when I talked about a pattern we don't see now, I also talk about the fact here we rely too much on friends. For a lot of things, we are too dependent on friends, even if we don't see it. We don't want to admit it, a lot of people here, they said Reunion Island is a rich island, but I know one thing for sure because let's say I was in Red Cross and I I saw some patterns not everyone can see that in fact Reunion Island is not rich. Reunion Island is rich because of France, but without France, Reunion Island is very in a bad path. So we have AI due to the support of France, but without it, I think this island is nothing, is as poor as other some countries elsewhere. And so about AI, we have it here. I can say that. In the north of my island, we have good internet connection in general. But if you go in the south of my island, you will have a lot of problems with your internet connection, a lot of issues. For instance, if I go in my mother's place in the south of my island, I will be I would be disconnected for as long as I would stay there, and it is like that here. So I would say that we are rich, but we are not so rich. It is something like a smoke, a wall of smoke about whatever we have here, the comfort, the let's say the patterns, the habits, the lifestyle. And it's very sad because we are forgetting, yes, identity, and also what means to be, let's say, in this willingness to help each other and to take advantage of everything we have in order to succeed, or and in order to increase, to improve our level of whatever we have to. And that's my point about my island. That's it.
Thank you so much. Reunion Island. So one day when I lived into that's where she is. I was like, where is that? Then Google said it's in the Indian Ocean. I'm like, where is that? You find that it's next to South Africa. I was like, wow,
Exactly.
I never knew. So if you're wondering, why Alavin's experience is so close to the African experience, that's why.
Exactly.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing, Alavin. So well, I always learn from you, so it's a good, it's a great thing. Look,
Yeah.
my friends, when you were talking about learning how LinkedIn works, here's what came to my mind. I don't know if you were here, Coach K. I'm sure you were. I don't know whether you noticed at the time. There was something called Social Saturday. There's two Social Saturdays, right? The Social Saturday, the event that Mac Lobshire runs. It's on Saturday evenings. And then there was Social Saturday where the Africans broke LinkedIn every Saturday. Essentially, there was a page, right? There was a feed, call it that,
Hmm.
where Africans just basically go on there and say, right, follow this person, connect with this person, and they just put all their names in, and then one day they get hundreds of new connections, hundreds of new followers, and LinkedIn suddenly decided one day, no, that's breaking our rules. You don't know who they are. And they blocked loads of Africans, loads of them, and disappeared for periods. And I'm saying, knowing how LinkedIn works matters, right? And it's just, it's the simple things that normally ruin you. And if LinkedIn blocks your account, you're in trouble, right? Yeah. So that's, I mean, just learning simple things like that can make a huge difference to us. But so we need to learn those rules. So mix that in with what Coach K is saying, in terms of monetize, in terms of helping people, build a community. Really, these are the strategies for 2026. I'd say I don't know how we fix our structural issues around electric, around Wi-Fi, around the internet. Because I can't help but feel that it feels unfair the way African countries charge people for internet. Here I can pay 20 pounds a month, and I got unlimited internet, unlimited data, unlimited everything when it comes to internet.
But what if like as a community, for the people that are like in Africa or whatnot, so like if you take your community, and because I'm going to show how to like do sponsorships, and I because like since we've been talking, I've been writing down different co-working sessions that seem like they would be helpful. And so like the first one is like a co-working session on how to monetize and build communities, and like looking at different platforms, but pulling people from LinkedIn, from your contacts here, because you can do things multiple ways from home. And then the second one is on like how to make AI work for you. So if you don't have Wi-Fi consistently available and you're able to get to somewhere that does have it, then you do, committing to a certain amount of hours of day to say, okay, I got to go to this library or this cafe to go and do this work, since I know I don't have this here at home. You know what I mean? And the third one would be maybe how to create sponsorships, and we can put together sponsorship packages within our communities to maybe sponsor a cafe. If a cafe in Nigeria don't have Wi-Fi, and you're like, okay, well, most of the people that I'm trying to help are in Lekki Phase 2, for example. Then it's like, okay, well, how much will it cost to sponsor Wi-Fi for this local restaurant? So now the restaurant, you can say, for people that's coming in to use the Wi-Fi and buy things, because you get 20% of their tickets, because they're coming and asking for the Wi-Fi code. So now we got a way to track it, right? And so that's how we can build a community and create spaces in ways that are not huge but doable, like practical, to solving the little thing that we can solve, because we can't solve the big one overnight, but there are little things we're able to do to help people out. And if you can help the right business or get the right business to sponsor, they may say, we got Wi-Fi, have your people come here, we know our food is good, And so showing people how to position themselves for sponsorships can help solve that problem, because that means you may not have to spend anything, because there may be a business that already got it with a backup generator.
Yeah, these are practical ways. As Michael said, you are the ideas person, the person who actually implements those ideas too. So I don't know what I said to everyone: connect with Coach K, and be part of our community, especially if you can get some benefits in terms of what she's saying. So finding yourself with resources, things you don't know that can help you. That's
I just said Arvelana connection. It's a pleasure to connect with her. You always know the best people.
Yeah, we try, Coach K. Look, and so I have to thank you. I never know what's going to happen to my events, and today's been a great one again, because I can just turn up, and my friends will turn up and then share the gems, and hopefully the audience goes away saying, "Wow, I didn't know that before." I tend to want to end on the same point. Let's be people who do in 2026, because without doing, nothing happens. Yes, of course. Now improve our mindset. Let to believe in ourselves. Let to believe in our unique gifts. Yeah? But we can't save ourselves, my friend. We can. We have to. We have to. Wherever you are in the world, especially if you're in African countries, find that unique solution that you can bring to the world. Because it's within you. God's given it to you, right? It's whether you want to find it and then live it by implementing your great idea. Anyway, thank you so much, Coach K. I say thank you, Alevine. Thank you, everyone that's been here in the audience, those who commented, those who haven't commented. I do appreciate all of you. I do connect with my friends. Alevine, Coach K, I'll let you have the last word. I don't know who wants to go first, and the other one can say what you want to say. Alevine, anything you want to say before we go?
So, thank you very much for this live. I have learned a lot. It was quite interesting. And thank you, Coach K. It was a pleasure to meet you. On stage, because I already heard you on the previous lives, but I wasn't able to come on stage. So nice to meet you, and thank you for your sharing, for your experiences and ideas. And thank you everyone for being around. That's it.
Thanks. It was a pleasure to meet you, Arvelina. This is a couple times that I shared a space with Calm, and thank you, Annie, for holding that space. And I just want to remind people to be intentional about their connections and the relationships they develop, because you just never know where they may lead. And that although there are some really great platforms that I want to encourage people to venture off to in terms of utilizing their community, I do believe that LinkedIn is the best seed in terms of where to start and social platforms, because the people here have been pretty great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm going networking now. If you're free in a couple of hours, Lisa's Your Metamorphosis event is on. That's what we're going to talk about how to remain calm through the storm and chaos of the Christmas holidays.
Can you inbox it to me, like DM me the event? Because I told Lisa that I wanted to catch one, and I think this is her last one for the year. And
yeah, so I'll send the links as I always do. So you two definitely, and you and I live in definitely on my list to get the DM with the invite link. Look, enjoy, my friends. Enjoy. Thank you so much. You take care. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with the without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.